when this particular scene in front of us happened, a lot of people messaged me to let me know that Thorgi just hit 100k. Now, unfortunately, you guys messaged me at like 2 in the morning, so I couldn't be there live. I was very much asleep. But congratulations to Thorgi for hitting 100k. Man deserves
100%.
it. We all know this. His content is top tier. And we also decided to check out this particular video because one thing, well, there was a lot of requests for it, as well as the fact that, you know, getting a massive overview of all the potential fighting games that we could check out in the future, I think would be quite valuable to see what we're interested in and maybe put them down the list for the future. I don't really want to spoil anything here, so I'm going to be very broad about it. I do know about The Thing. Serby does not know about The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing from Marvel Rivals.
The Thing.
Indeed. So we're going to go into this and see The Thing.
Okay. The Thing.
The Thing. But of course, if you guys haven't already, for some odd reason, go and support Thorgi. Subscribe to his channel. Watch his content. It's great. We'll probably take like a week or 2 or 3 or potentially 4 to ever get to like any of his newly released retrospectives. So whenever he releases them, watch them there, and then wait like a month or 2 or 3, and then come back to our channel and see our reactions to it.
Whenever we get around.
Whenever we get around to it, yeah.
So, like, he puts so much work in time in making these big, long, awesome videos that they take us a long time to get through.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Well, you scheduling and stuff like that. But also, I have my reasons. I don't want to take any views at all from his initial like release of the video, so that's why we wait longer.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you guys are cool with that and know that. I specifically do that to make sure that doesn't happen. So
all first viewings of this video should be on his channel.
100%, yeah. So that's why I always have a link too, just in case. But anyways, enough of yapping. Let's get to this incredibly long list, which will likely take us 3, potentially 4 parts. We'll see.
We do like the
Recently, we hit a milestone on this channel. 100,000 subscribers. I know it's stereotypical to say this, but
100K.
I never thought this would happen.
That's
For anyone
awesome.
who's never heard me tell this story before, I used to work on another channel where we just talked about everything pop culture related, but we kept getting all these comments saying, I don't like the video game stuff. Stop doing the video game stuff. Nobody's here for the video game stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I like the video game stuff. I
do
fun
too.
doing it. So I decided to cut all the video game stuff and move it to its own channel. A channel that I was basically just making for me because I wanted to do it and I thought would be fun. And now that channel has hit 100,000 subscribers. So when I say, no, I didn't think this would happen, I mean it. This is incredible and I cannot thank you enough. Thank you to
I mean, it's always awesome when a random side project that you did for yourself starts to like get some traction behind it. And there are other people out there in the world who value the same things as you do. That's kind of why YouTube is great. And one of the few things that YouTube is great at is sharing this type of content around. Even though it actively tries to suppress it nowadays. But, well, not everything can be perfect, I suppose.
YouTube sure isn't perfect. That statement hasn't
I don't
been
think that's a hot
said,
take.
but-
I think we all just solemnly agree with that, yeah.
all the amazing creators who have guest starred on my shows before or had me as a guest on their channels, all the big name creators who have mentioned me and sent people my way, all the React channels who have featured my stuff.
Aw.
We're in exactly the same position, so we're blocking ourselves, but yes! We made it! We made it! Get the camera! We're famous! But, yeah, that was the thing. The thing that everybody was messaging me about. They wanted to see our reaction to this specifically. What I gotta say is that, like, a lot of Thorgi's retrospectives, I've said this multiple times, but I can't stop reiterating it, that it's like, it's awesome that he makes these because as a casual to the fighting game scene, they have been, like, such a great way to get myself introduced to the series and dragging Serby along, who, you know, isn't really sure whether they'd be into it or not. These videos in general are just still very entertaining for the both of us. And without them, I don't think we'd be this into fighting games. So, yeah, massive shout out to Thorgi. for providing these gateways into the FGC.
All the incredible artists who have done thumbnails for me over the past. Seriously, make sure that you check the descriptions of each of my videos to see who did the thumbnails for them, and you go and support them. Support your local artists, people.
Rumblefish.
And especially, thank you to everyone who has promoted this channel, liked the videos, commented, been here for the premieres, and have just spread the word of this channel around, whether it's been posting me around the internet or just telling your friends about it. We seriously could not have gotten where we are right now if it was not for all of your support over the years. My heart is very full thinking about what you've all done for me, and I thank you all so much for that. But we need to celebrate this monumental achievement, and since we're hitting 100,000 subscribers today, I'm going to count down my top 100 fighting games.
It's insane to me that, yeah, you could come up with 100 different fighting games. Before, as a casual, I probably couldn't even name 10. Now, when I look at my Steam library, I could probably get to 30 of them. But,
Oh, damn.
100? Yeah, I don't think I know 100 of them.
I definitely don't.
I mean,
I'm trying to think how many I have in my Steam library right now. Like 3 or 4.
But I'll be honest with you, I was still having trouble cutting this thing down.
One Piece
I had like
Burning
30 honorable mentions that I wanted to include. This was tough. But before we start, it wouldn't be my channel if we didn't have a ton of rules and clarifications. First thing that I have to address, you'll notice that this video isn't called the top 100 fighting games. No, it's called Thorgi's top 100 fighting games.
Every single time you make a tier list or anything like this, people are going to be like, oh, but actually, no, you are wrong, and I disagree with you. Yeah, it's an opinion. Guys, calm down. Yeah. Especially when Serby and I do the character design and ranks videos, we're going to get a ton of comments of people who don't understand the meaning of what an opinion is. Especially from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know anything about the character. We're literally just looking at the art and some of the gameplay of the character. So obviously, I'm not going to know that during a particular game of the series, they had a theme song with vocals in it. Why would that ever be within the consideration of the character design? I still don't get it, but whatever.
I definitely ruffled feathers in some of those videos, which was not intended, but
it's not intended. Plus, we misunderstood a lot of the characters and the reasons behind their designs. But that's also because, you know, it's kind of like a first time looking at them.
It's a blind reaction just looking at purely their character designs.
I don't know how much we have to reiterate that for people to actually understand, but it is what it is. Tier list videos are always going to get this kind of shit.
My favorite thing about the tier list videos is going in with just my blind reaction, giving my statements, and then when we go and learn about the characters and just seeing how my opinions of characters change.
Because that happened for us significantly with King of Fighters. Like, we understood a lot more behind the reasonings of character designs, and that definitely shifted our perception of them. If we rank them now, we'd rank them very differently, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is not a list of what I think are the top 100 objectively best fighting games of all time, mostly because I don't even think it's possible to declare something the best fighting game of all time. Everyone is going to have their own opinions about what makes a game good or not. And that goes double for fighting games. Fighting games are like music. Everyone is going to have their own rhythm, their own beat, and that is very important to deciding what fighting games speak to you. So no, I'm not going to decide was objectively the best fighting game ever today. This is purely a list of my own personal favorite fighting games, which means that about 20% of this list is going to be facts and hard evidence. The other 80%.
Yeah, you can't define objective because it is entirely subjective. So just don't do it. Don't do it in the first place. We're not here to rage bait people. We're just here to make a cool video about things that we love. That's the type of content that I love the most to watch on YouTube. So, and that's also the reason why we're here.
80% is going to be vibes. In fact, considering that this list is entirely just my own personal favorites, let me go ahead and warn you guys of something right now. There are going to be several games that everyone loves, but they just never really spoke to me. And I'm not saying that they're bad. No, not at all. There are several games out there that if you ask me objectively, are these
Dead
good
or
games?
Alive?
I would tell you 100% yes. They're great. They're some of the most important fighting games of all time, and they deserve to be loved and cherished.
Yeah, Dead or Alive.
They just never really connected with me, and I
Virtual
never
Fighter?
got into them. In fact, I'll warn you all right now, Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter,
Yep.
amazing games. Two of the most important franchises ever for the history of this genre.
Virtual Fighter, especially for the history of 3D graphics in video games, because NVIDIA wouldn't be a company if Virtual Fighter never contracted them, or Sega never contracted them to make a graphics card for Virtual Fighter. That is, that's pretty awesome. Well, not with what NVIDIA has become nowadays, but the fact that 3D games exist.
I
never got into them. They just completely passed me by. And on the other end of that topic, there are some games that did make it onto this list.
What is that?
That I will gladly
That
admit.
seems like the most awesome fighting game in the world. Dinosaur fighting game. Let's go. Do we have just like some cavemen cheering in the background? Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Are bad games. You are never going to get me to defend them as being good.
This is the North Star fighting game.
Something about them that
Which is funny because I believe this game is being featured at EBO this year. They're actually playing this and competing in it. It is an absolute shit show. It was like one of Arxis' first games, I believe. And every character has an infinite.
I love, and there's no way that I can leave them off this list. And in case you're wondering how I'm figuring out this list, what exactly I'm judging these games on, it's kind of everything. It's how much I like the combat, the characters, the content, the graphics, or the art style, and the biggest X factor of them all, nostalgia. Or to put that another way, what the game means to me. Again, these are just my personal favorite games, so there is a good chance that you're going to see a game on here and you're going to think to yourself, how on earth did that make it that high?
What is this?
Well, it could just be that I personally connected with the combat or the characters, but there's also a really good chance that something is on this list simply because of the memories that I have of playing it, because of what the game meant to me in the past. And one final thing that I need to clarify.
That's fair.
Like stupid things.
You should have clarified. This is why I like you, Zero. Oh.
No.
Okay.
No. Sometimes there's a video game, an anime, a manga, I don't know. It could be the worst thing you've ever seen ever. And I will love it thoroughly. And it'll have a special place in my heart forever. So I fully understand what Thorgi's trying to justify. It's like, this is not good. It really doesn't deserve to be here, but I like it.
I can objectively agree with Serby's take here. Serby does like really stupid shit that nobody else will like. And they know and acknowledge this, but they still enjoy it, and I can respect that.
This isn't really a top 100 list. It's more of a top 110, 120 list. Because there are going to be many games on here that I merged into one spot. And I'm doing this because there are several games that when I think about them and I think about what I love about them, I don't think of them as separate games. I think of them as one big experience. The most obvious example of this is Street Fighter 2. We all know the jokes about how many different versions of Street Fighter 2 there are, and yes, each of them are different, but when I think about Street Fighter 2, I think of the entirety of that game. When I say I love Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 was important to me, I don't say, yeah, but only the first one and new challengers. After that, I didn't really care. No, when I say I love Street Fighter 2, I love that game as one big experience. All the titles rolled into one thing. So when I eventually get to that game, I'm going to include all of them together.
I mean, especially with his example of Street Fighter 2, it begs the question, like, how different exactly were every single title that was released? Because back then, they were the equivalent of DLC and balance patches. So the experience itself of playing them definitely didn't change much, so you could consider it, if we're going off of vibes and nostalgia, to be the same game.
As I said, that's the simplest example of what I mean. I think most people will agree with that decision, but there will definitely be a few other entries on here that I'll probably have to fight a bit hard to justify merging them together. But there you go, that's all the rules and clarifications. Thank you all again for all your support, folks. I hope that you all enjoyed today's massive video. My God, look at the runtime of this thing.
Yeah.
Let's begin with...
What?
Number 100, Techromancer. Techromancer is one of those weird, beautiful
game?
moments in time. It's one of those games that could only have existed when Capcom was throwing everything at the wall to try and create something new. So they just said, let's make a game full of mechs where everyone is a tribute to a different genre of anime, to the point where we give each of them story modes that feel like episodes of their own series.
Oh.
We will never get something quite like that again, and it's loaded with big, colorful characters and wacky combat that feels not incredibly detailed, but damn is it fun. If we ever get a Capcom Fighting Collection 3, this one is going to be way up there on the list of games that we have to include. This does sound kind of fun. Number 99, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I'll be completely honest with you, I am not a Power Rangers fan. It's a series that just never connected with me. So I don't really get much from any of these characters in this game or any of the story stuff in here. None of it really means anything to me. And I am clarifying that...
I was a Power Rangers kid. I watched so much Power Rangers.
I was not a Power Rangers kid. That is a rabbit hole that we do plan to get into someday. Because everybody around me is one.
I would love to go down Power Rangers with you.
I don't know anything about them. So yeah. Look forward to that in the future.
I don't know much on like the Super Sentai side of it. I watched like Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I watched so much of it as a kid. Mystic Ranger was my favorite.
I don't know. I don't have favorites. I can't contribute to this conversation.
Sound of Thunder is also fantastic. Wild Card 1, Operation Overdrive. I love that one.
I see. I understand. My contribution to this conversation is I heard of this game when people saw Marvel Tokon and were like, oh, that system reminds me of Battle for the Grid. There you go.
I did remember seeing people say it reminded them of Power Rangers, which I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't actually realize Power Rangers had their own fighting game. That's actually really funny.
Yeah, it's a tag fighter too.
Because I want you all to know, if I was a fan of this property, this game would be way higher on this list because I am putting it on here simply because of the gameplay. And the gameplay is really darn good. Before Dragon Ball FighterZ came out, this really felt like the closest thing that we were going to get to a Marvel vs. Capcom successor. The gameplay is a bit slow, but it's very kinetic. It keeps moving constantly. And the combat is simple, but you can do so much to spice things up. And the tag mechanic in here feels better than in almost any other tag fighter. It's amazing.
Really?
Number 98.
Wouldn't mind trying the Rumblefish. I wouldn't mind trying that out someday. Also, Rumblefish is on our list of things to check out, so look forward to that.
Rumblefish. It has fish. I'm interested.
I'll admit, I do like how Rumblefish plays, and Rumblefish 2 for that matter. I dig the style.
This is such an interesting style. I've never seen a fighting game look quite like this or move quite like this. What would you even call this style for the characters?
The pixel art is interesting. I need to see it move.
These games, the characters are cool, and I appreciate how original it all feels.
3D with a pixel art like shader? I can't quite tell.
Well, I'm sure.
I don't think it's actually 2D pixel art. The pixels aren't correct pixels. I don't know how to say that. They're not in a true pixel grid.
Brain error. Brain processing. What am I looking at? We'll definitely learn more about it when we get to the retrospective. So yeah, don't worry about it. But I just thought it does look quite interesting. It moves very differently,
I dig the style of these games, the characters are cool, and I appreciate how original it all feels. It's another game that's kind of simple at first, but when you start learning all the unique mechanics, there is a lot of fun that can be had here. But let's be real, this game is getting on the list because of what it means to this channel. Yeah, the Rumblefish title card, you know, this.
The Rumblefish.
The Rumblefish.
That has become a running gag on this channel that keeps coming up way more than I expected. And you know something? I've kind of come to love how this bizarre mid-2000s fighting game soundbite has become so associated with this channel. I can't help but laugh that my channel and this game are now linked. But also, we did a retrospective on Rumblefish, and I've been told by so many people over the years that they love that my channel is willing to look at and dedicate a whole video to a title like Rumblefish. And you know something? I kind of love that too. Next year, we're definitely going to get back to doing some retrospectives on some more obscure games.
Hell yeah.
97, Gundam Battle Assault 2. This game almost didn't make it on the list. It was on the chopping block for the longest time, but then I looked up some footage of the game as a refresher, and just seeing a few frames of this brought back so many memories. I was a big Gundam fan when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and
for all
this
the
came
Gundam
out
kids,
right at the
this would be like a
peak
dream.
of that love. And unlike a lot of other anime tie-in fighters, this one was actually good. This was a legit fighting game at a time when a lot of other anime fighters were just trying to get something out the door. Also, this was one of the first anime fighters I ever played to use the English dub voice actors. That was practically unheard of at this time, and for someone who was watching all these shows on Toonami back in the day, it made it feel like this was an adaptation of not just the show, but the specific version of the show that I watched, and yeah, it made it kind of special for me.
That is really neat because, you know, like for a lot of games back in the day, voice acting was not seen as important. Even more so for dubbing. Like that was kind of seen as like a secondary thing thrown out. For the anime tie-in games, I would not expect anime dubbing to really be a thing. It was sort of an exception when BlazBlue had a good like English voice cast. Up until they decided to forget them because they weren't central to the fiction. Yeah. But regardless, for this much older Gundam game, hell yeah, that's pretty neat.
Also, it includes Big Zam, and how can you not love Big Zam? Number 96, Nitro Plus Blasters. Just like with Power Rangers, this is another game where I know nothing about the source material. This is a big crossover game, and I recognize maybe 2 characters in here, so there is zero personal connection to this premise.
A heart?
No, this one is making it onto the list
Supersonico?
solely because of the gameplay. For years, I heard people telling me, no, this game actually plays great. It feels really good. And I kept thinking, sure it does.
Homerus from
yeah, I'm sorry, I can't lie, but every single time that people kept telling me that this game was good, I kept looking at it and thinking, you just like this because it's full of cute anime girls. That's why you're saying it's good, isn't it? Yeah, I'll admit, I jumped to a conclusion on that one. I made a judgment before knowing anything about it. I apologize on that, because when I finally did play this game, yeah, I gotta admit, the combat is excellent. If you have flipped past this game every single time that Steam has a sale and never given it a second thought, go back and check it out. This game is legit, and I will gladly pick it up and start playing it anytime that I get the chance. Also have to point out, this game did provide me with one of my favorite fighting game-related clips on YouTube.
Sentel is ridiculous. You know what I got inside me? More bullets! Louisville Slugger! Oh, God damn it! No! Let's go! My ball! Let's go! Oh, you're God fucking Williams! Fenway on its feet! God damn it! He went Yano on that one!
Number 95.
Oh, yeah. That just seems like such a weird mishmash of so many different things. Like, how did that game even come to be?
Yeah.
There's a lot
it kind of reminds me of like Jumpstars, which is just a bunch of different anime girls, but as a 2D fighter instead of an arena fighter.
But yeah, like, what is the correlation between all those series? Is it just like the creator's favorite girls just all packed into one game or something? I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah.
I mean, Saber was there, and we recognized a few faces. A lot we didn't, but I don't know.
Is Expelled from Paradise based on a manga? I only know it for the movie.
Expelled from Paradise. Do you remember the name of the girl that was from Expelled from Paradise? Because I have never heard of it.
It's been way too long. It's the girl with the like green sci-fi suit and long blonde hair.
I think I know who you're talking about.
It's a 2014 film.
Gotcha. But I have never heard of the movie.
It was a 3D anime movie. It was okay.
Okay. Well,
I mean, it was fun enough. I watched it. I enjoyed it. And there was nothing like super crazy about it. But
what can I say? I've liked Pokemon since I was a kid. I've liked fighting games since I was a kid. The two of them finally meeting was kind of a big deal for me. I remember when they were doing location tests for this game, I found out that one of them was in New York, and I hunted that thing down so that way I could get an early taste of it. And when it came out, I gotta admit, I was pretty impressed. This game looks great, it's got amazing supers, and I love this mechanic of shifting between a 2D fighter and an arena fighter. It sounds crazy, but they found a way to make it work. Number 94.
And all of them were playing it for a while, and they like convinced me to download it. But then they kind of stopped playing it as soon as I downloaded it, so I never played.
How could they betray you like this? No!
Sengoku Basara Cross. Remember how I said that there would be games on this list that I know are bad, but I don't care because I love them? Well, here's Exhibit A. I've been told for so many years, this game sucks. This game is broken kusoge, and I do not care. The sprite work has that early 2000s Arc System flavor that I love. Combat is fast and each hit feels huge. There is a massive feeling of impact to this combat.
Of course it's Arc Sys.
It's got plenty of unique mechanics that are honestly kind of weird. It has a very different approach to assist characters that you call out, and each character has their own unique gimmicks, but I dig how different this is, and I think it all comes together to make something really fun. Number 93, Monstroscopy. One of the newest games on this list, Monstroscopy came out in 2024 and then was released on consoles earlier this year. It's a game inspired by early black and white Mexican horror films, and honestly, I just love that this exists. I love what a unique idea this is. And of course, listen, I love horror movies. I love monsters. I love fighting games that are based around horror movies and monsters. So this feels very much made for me. And the game is overflowing with passion. You can feel how much these devs cared about this. And even though there's only 2 buttons, it's crazy how much you can do with just those 2 buttons. No game that only uses 2 buttons should feel this good. But that being said, I have to be honest, the game at the time of this recording is kind of buggy. I have run into plenty of problems.
That's fair. This definitely seems more like a passion project by a group of developers who had a very clear vision of what they wanted to do, but not a whole lot of resources to invest into it. I'm so glad that it exists, though. It looks really cool. Is just Kitty. I'm sure it's the most ferocious werewolf around, though.
Trying to play this on the console, and as cool as the art style is, it doesn't always work. That arcade stage burns my retinas off every single time that it goes on screen.
That's fair,
if the game could fix these problems, it would be way higher on this list. Next up, coming to your top 100 list at number 92.
AI?
Killer Instinct.
I am so torn about including this game on this list because it's Killer Instinct.
I mean, the only reason I know of this is because Max can't shut up about it. Every single time, he'll find some sort of reason to open up KI. There. I mean, it was quite influential for fighting games.
I've heard the name before, and it's probably, just from Max.
I'm kind of intrigued what you're going to think of like the modern KI and its art style. But I do just like the idea of a bunch of monsters just beating each other's face in, like the previous game. Except, I guess not in that extremely stylistic style. This one feels a lot cleaner.
A good game? Hell yeah, absolutely. Sure, it had the early arcade era wackiness to it, but it still had a phenomenal combo system unlike anything else. A cast of colorful characters that felt like a grab bag of cool ideas, but they still worked together. Amazing sound design, with each character's grunts almost signaling how big the combos had gotten, and the combo breaker being this amazing move that made you feel like a genius, and that announcer was legendary. You went into the arcade and you would hear that man screaming his lungs out and you instantly wanted to play this game. But was I good at the game? Hell no. In fact, I make jokes all the time about me being bad at fighting games, but you know what? I'm actually okay at them. I can do some stuff.
I'm willing to bet that Thorgi is much better than me, Kane, Serby, all 3 of us combined.
I'm horrendous at fighting games.
We gotta learn how to do those motion inputs someday. At least with Grab Blue, it kind of gives you a bit of a shortcut, but yeah, someday we'll get there.
Not here. I am bad at Killer Instinct. I always got my butt kicked in the arcade as a kid, and I remember when I got to college, there was a Killer Instinct arcade cabinet in the cafeteria, and I thought, all right, I'm older.
Now is
I'm
the
wiser.
time.
I can totally take this on now. And I still got my ass handed to me. However, unlike some other fighting games where I sucked at them and I said, well, that's too bad, moving on. Killer Instinct was that game I always wanted to get better at. It was a siren that kept calling me over so I could just keep crashing on the rocks.
I get that.
The characters, the big impact of the combos, the flat-out cool factor of it all, it always drew me in. So I can't put it too high because, again, this is a personal list, and I was incredibly bad at this game. But I still had to include it on here somewhere because I did really love the presentation of this game, and despite being so bad, I did keep coming back to it time and time again, wanting to get better at it. Number 9.
Yeah. Even outside of fighting games, there are going to be those games that just click with you for whatever reason. Maybe it's even a reason that you can't really identify. But you just have this feeling that you want to get better at it, and it motivates you to get better at it. So I understand. I understand completely. I'm looking forward to getting into KI someday, for sure.
91 Marvel superheroes. You are going to see a lot of the versus games on here. Love Marvel, love Capcom. Love Marvel versus Capcom. But the bottom of the list today is Marvel superheroes simply because it's probably the most forgettable to me. Actually, that's a lie. Marvel superheroes
Max
versus...
mention this.
I mean,
When,
Max is going to mention all the Marvel games, I'm sure. Anything with X-Men in it.
The Street Fighter is the most forgettable to me, but that one didn't even make the list. Yeah, I lost my mind at X-Men Children of the Atom. Lost my mind at X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And sadly, Marvel superheroes came right in the middle, and I remember not exactly loving the roster. I mean, yes, we all love Shuma-Gorath now, but we love him because he was in these games.
Let's go, Silent Duel Physics.
When I was a kid, I was like, oh, half this roster is just from
Silent
the X-Men game,
please.
And why the heck did you put the octopus guy in here? This isn't really Marvel superheroes, this is Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man versus a couple of X-Men and a handful of weirdos. However, even with those problems, as someone who grew up loving Marvel comics, and unlike a lot of other kids in the 90s, didn't just love the X-Men, but loved Spider-Man and the Avengers, getting a fighting game where I could play as some of my favorite heroes, and had a storyline referencing the Infinity Gauntlet, back when people didn't know what that was and we weren't all sick of having it shoved down our throats all the time, and each of these characters had moves and abilities and animations that felt like they came right out of the comics, oh, it was still a dream come true for me. Number 90, Idol Showdown.
That's why I love One Piece Burning Blood so much. Not because it's a good fighting game, because I'm sure it's not. But it's really true to One Piece, and the characters just, it's really cool to see them in the fighting game like that.
Is that like a 2D fighter or is it an arena fighter?
It's an arena fighter.
Okay.
And part of the problem that I have with it as not a fighting game person, if you play someone like Gecko Moria, 90% of your screen is just Moria's butt.
Perfect. Lore accurate.
But it's cool. And I love that they include like X-Drake, even though at the time he wasn't in like anything, but he turns into a T-Rex and that's cool.
That is cool. I think in general, when it comes to arena fighters that want to be more like lore accurate, it's never going to be like that competitive balanced level of 2D fighters you're going to see at EVO. They're always going to be just for fun and overpowered characters left and right. So in that aspect, I think it probably achieved what it was setting out to do. And as long as you're having fun playing it, then yeah.
100%.
I've never seen gameplay of it before, though. Might have to check it out later.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say this right here.
Twice.
I know nothing about
and Steam.
Idol Showdown made it? Let's go.
Yeah.
VTuber. This is a realm of the content creator sphere that I am not involved in. The only VTubers I know are the ones who are part of the Say Jam Slam, and I don't think any of them are in this game.
I've never actually seen what this game looks like. I've only heard people talk about it.
I've heard that it's actually really solid, especially for a free-to-play fighting game, too.
That being said, man, this is a really fun game. I started tinkering around with this on a stream one day, and the chat was giving me tips and a few combos to try, and this thing gets really cool when you actually put the time into it. And when that stream was over, I kept playing it. I was genuinely surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Plus, I have to give some love to the fact that this game was a fan-made project that all these streamers gave their okay to, and then they put it out for free, and they kept updating it with more free content, and they even include some pretty cool single-player modes. This game is the product of pure passion, and even if I am not into the subject matter, I always want to support talented devs making something they love just for 100%. Fun. Number 89, BlazBlue Continuum Shift. Not gonna lie, I almost put all the
where we started with Thorgi's retrospectives and nostalgia.
BlazBlue games together simply because it feels like every BlazBlue just built upon the last one, and because of that, it almost feels like all of BlazBlue is just one game that kept getting updated over and over. However,
I see that.
That's talking about the gameplay and the roster. And as you will see as this list goes on, there is way more to a fighting game than just the combat and the characters. Each game is a big package with many different elements, and when it comes to BlazBlue's home releases, each of them had a handful of unique modes. And with Continuum Shift, they introduced Abyss Mode. And this essentially turned your fighting...
If I recall, Abyss Mode was like the greatest here in Continuum Shift, and it never really peaked like it did here.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it when we were learning about BlazBlue, but we support innovation. It is an unfortunate downside to innovation that sometimes you're going to end up missing the mark.
Game into a roguelike, where you have to go through a series of fights, and the better you do, the further you move across the ladder. And after every fight, you unlock a brand new buff for your character. And not only does this add a ton of fun to how you customize your run and how you build your fighter, because you can end up making some nutty busted combination in here, but it also makes every run feel unique. No matter how many times I played this, I kept wanting to play it again because of the amount of variety it put in here and the unique challenge it provided every single time.
That is the fun of a roguelike. I found playing Hades, because I never liked roguelikes really in the past, and I realized because a lot of times they just end up repetitive, but if you have a good roguelike that can actually like make each run different and have so much variety to it, that's the fun of roguelikes.
Yeah. I can say, well, I didn't really delve too far into the mechanics, and I didn't experience specifically Continuum Shift, but from what I played from the Central Fiction version of this, that at the very least, it managed to motivate me to boot up the game to play it, even though Kane wasn't there and we weren't doing any like streaming or training sessions. But it gave me a reason to boot up the game and not just beat up a still standing bot in training mode to practice my combos. It was like a practical application of skills and learning on the fly versus the CPU opponents that got consistently harder while I also got consistently stronger. It's just fun. And I wish that more fighting games had something like this, because I feel like it would be super easy to implement with the format of fighting games. You don't have to create anything new, just use what you have, change some of the coding a little bit, and you've got a new game mode.
In fact, I'm just going to say this right here. I think every fighting game needs a roguelike mode. It's incredibly addictive, and shockingly enough, it lines up with the gameplay of a fighting game incredibly well.
Yeah,
so I had to make sure that I gave Continuum Shift respect on this list, because even though Abyss Mode returned for all the later games, this was definitely the best it ever was. They nailed it on the first try. Number 88, Million Arthur Arcana Blood.
Oh, I heard of this.
I do not.
The reason why I heard of this is because Iori is here. Because, of course, Iori is here.
Iori is here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember at all how I first heard about Million Arthur Arcana Blood. Just one day I had a copy of it in my house, and that's all I know. But hey, I'm not complaining, because I got addicted to this game. You're playing as a reincarnation of King Arthur or something, and you're going up against other versions of King Arthur from...
Yeah, I don't know. Million Arthur also has an anime series that I tried to watch. I could not get into it. I initially got into it because there's a very big booba lady, but...
Is Iori King Arthur?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just a DLC crossover character. And it might not be this game specifically. I know he's in a Million Arthur game, though.
Other realities, I think... Yeah, listen, I didn't play this thing for the story. I played it because, A, I love the sprite work. You all know me. You know I love sprite-based fighters, but that is kind of a dying art form. So the art style of this game gives me that feeling of playing something from that old arcade era. And B, I think it's got a great gimmick. Well, okay, one of the gimmicks is great. It's also got this rock, paper, scissors element gimmick that I'm not really a fan of, but the other gimmick is that you get to pick one character to play as, and then you select multiple assists that you can call out, each of them being completely original characters. And I got so hooked on just taking this game into the lab and testing out all the various assists from different characters to see what I could do. I barely even play this thing single player mode. I mostly just spent all of my time in the training mode figuring out combos with all the different assists. And I know it might sound weird to say that one of my top 100 fighting games is a game where I rarely left the training mode, but I kind of found this game to be meditative. It was my relaxing game for a while. I would just go into training mode and I would just chill out for an hour with some combos. Number 87, Fatal Fury 3. I had to put some Fatal Fury love in here. I didn't play a lot of SNK games when I was a kid, but I definitely remember thinking Terry Bogard was the coolest guy.
He is.
Unfortunately, I didn't really like a lot of his games. Yeah, I was not that big on Fatal Fury 1 or 2. But then 3 came around, and yes, it was way too hard for me back then. I could never even get close to beating that arcade ladder. But I was able to use the lane system more easily than I had in the previous games. The combat felt like it was finally coming into shape, and the cast of characters in this game is the best in the original trilogy. Plus the art style and the presentation of the arcade ladder with your little icon moving around this map and the character interactions between matches, it's all so incredibly charming. I'll admit, I don't really see myself ever returning to this game simply because there are Fatal Fury games that I like way more than this one. But this still holds a place in my heart as what I picture when I think of early Fatal Fury.
There are those anime shows for me where it's like, I love them, but I don't think I'll ever go and revisit them because I don't want to change my view on them as they were in my memory a little bit. And I don't think I'd ever enjoy them as much as I did on the first time round.
That's what Kiwi says about a lot of her favorite anime too.
Well, it's true. Well, I think there are certain things that when they show up at a particular time in your life, they have much more of an impact than they would have otherwise at any other point in your life.
I think I can understand. I think I also just, as we've stated, I can enjoy stupid things. So it's like Black Cat was like my favorite anime as a kid. I had the DVD set for it and I watched it a million times. I think if I went back to it, it would not be nearly as, I guess, of a complex of a story or good of a story, but I think I would still enjoy it just as much.
Well, you are certainly unique in that aspect, I would say.
Number 86.
I enjoy things.
Good. I hope that someday I can achieve that and just enjoy things for the sake of enjoying them.
Versus Capcom Infinite.
Wait, what?
Ooh.
I can explain.
That's a spicy one.
We all know this game has problems. This game has many problems. This game is more problems than man at this point. Graphics are abysmal. The roster is the worst in the series. The only single-player content is the story mode, and that story mode is a competitor for the worst story mode in fighting game history, and believe me, that is indeed saying something. However, goddamn, this combat is so good. The actual gameplay is amazing, arguably the best in the whole Versus series. Most characters got new moves that felt like fun additions. The Infinity Stone system helps you customize your team in a way that speaks to your playstyle. The way they handled the tag mechanic isn't just the best in the franchise, it's arguably one of the best tag mechanic in any tag fighter. Plus, the online felt amazing! On every level other than the combat, this is the worst Marvel vs. Capcom. Heck, it's one of Capcom's worst fighting games ever. But I still play this game online more than any other Versus game combined.
Really?
Because that combat is the peak of the series. Number 85.
I haven't heard people talk about the combat much for Infinite. I'll be honest.
I think most of what I've heard is basically everything else except the combat. And I assume that's because people want to talk about the negative things, except the one upside to it.
Probably. Or just that people can't get past the look or just everything else enough to get to a point where they can enjoy the combat, maybe?
Like, a fighting game can have really good combat, but if it has literally no characters or an art style that just doesn't interest me, then I feel no motivation to play it.
Well, it's like, with a gacha, right? If I don't like the characters, then what point is there to play the gacha? The
why
gacha
would you
is
play?
the characters, right?
Uh-huh.
Fighting game is
Exactly.
kind of the same as in that, where it's like, you play a fighting game for the roster for the most part, right? If there's no one in the roster that you like, why would you play it?
It is incredibly unfortunate that this, apparently, in Thorgi's opinion, has the best gameplay out of the MVC games, but just because of the way that it looks, really ended up shooting themselves in the foot with it. If only it didn't look this way.
Ugly game.
Yeah. I ain't no artist, but this one does not appeal to me. The older MVCs, they're more up my alley. I love their art style a lot. I'm looking forward to playing them someday. But yeah, this...
Number 85, Bloody Roar. When I returned to this
Yeah, you
game
did
for
a
a Bloody Roar
retrospective on this too.
retrospective, I realized it wasn't as fun as I remember, and a lot of the love that I have for
this
this
is a
game
look.
came from nostalgia. But what can I say? Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and I had a lot of it for this game. When I was a kid, I was into monsters, and I was into fighting games. So you tell me there's a game where you can explode into a big wolf man? Hell yeah, I was all about that.
Oh.
And even though the combat has problems in this first installment, the presentation still makes this game feel good. When you activate your beast mode and you just explode and send your opponent flying against the wall, you feel so powerful. And when you win by ring out by sending your opponent flying over the horizon, it's like you just hit a home run.
Holy!
There's definitely better Bloody Roar games, and you will see some of them on this list, but I had to give the original some love because when it came out, I was at the exact right age for a game like this. Number 84, Melty Blood, Actress Again.
Ooh.
This is going to be the first of many games that I will end up filing under the games I really wish I had learned how to play category. Yeah.
Melty Blood is the quintessential anime fighter. It is the anime fighter where people put down their controllers and take selfies with fans because they know for a fact that the combo's not going to be over by the time they get back to picking up their controller. Looking forward to playing it someday. But goddamn, I think Kate and I are going to suck at this very much.
I see.
But yeah, I don't know if you remember this. We didn't mention it during a conversation before, but this was like the Type Moon fighting game. Pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Picked this game up casually, just hating buttons, but I never went much further than that.
That's great
But with
music.
that being said, oh my goodness, this game is so fun to just pick up and start hating buttons. There's so many characters, the combat is incredibly smooth, and the sound design, second to none. I have said many times that one of the best ways to make combat feel fun in your fighting games is just to make sure that each hit sounds good. And damn, even just the tiniest slap in this game,
to be honest.
Well, with character action games, yes. That as well. Any hack and slash game, if the combat doesn't feel good, then what is the point of playing the combat, right? Honestly, that's like also one of our main criticisms of something like Duet and Abyss too. We enjoy playing the game, but like the combat definitely needs a rework at some point down the line.
It doesn't have any impact behind it. Yeah.
has this really rewarding smack sound to it. Plus, the amount that you can just pop a player into the air and just keep combos going until you're practically flying, it feels great. Again, I don't even know what I am doing in this game, but even at my level, this game knows how to make the player feel special. Number 83, Chaos Breaker, aka Dark Away.
Oh, this one.
This game deserves so much more love. It is criminal how few people know about this. Maybe it's just
We saw it briefly in a retrospective. I forget which one. It might have been a King of Fighters one. But I saw the wiki open for it. Just took a look at the different characters and whatnot. It's just, I don't think you could really access this. It's not readily available anywhere on Steam. I think it is on like one of the console stores, but I don't really own those consoles.
Just me. Maybe the rest of the FGC looked at this game, played it, and instantly found a dozen things that they hated about, and they all agreed to just never talk about it again. but I had a blast with this thing, and it is insane to me that I never see anyone bring it up. Is it because every character has a TOD? It's probably because every character has a TOD.
Damn.
This is a team-based fighter that's themed around Dungeons and Dragons style fantasy characters, and there's some really creative, fun choices they threw in here. The combos are simple, but they have a really solid impact.
There may be a reason why I have the wiki open.
Unlock special items that you can use to spice up the combat. This, to me, is one of those true hidden gems, and it bums me out that more people don't know about it. Number 82, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighter SNES Edition. I had a lot of love for the classic TMNT tournament fighters, and I assumed it was mostly just nostalgia. I mean, I grew up a Turtles fan. How could I not be excited for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fighting game? Plus, this was still early in the fighting game craze. The genre was still fairly new, so to see a franchise that I love decide to make a game in the genre that I love, that was a big deal. So I always assumed, yeah, the game probably wasn't very good. I was just a Turtles fan back then, but you know, it's a licensed game from early in the genre. There's no way this is actually fun today. But a few years ago, when we did that build a roster for a new Turtles game, I went back and replayed it to capture footage, and I was shocked to find, yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, not going to come in here and say, oh, it's a masterful experience that was years ahead of its time with a firm grasp on fundamentals. No,
I don't think so.
It's still a licensed tie-in game made at the dawn of the genre. We all know what this is, and we all have expectations about how good it can possibly be. But with those expectations in mind, yeah, it is shockingly fun. Nostalgia or not, this is still a game that I will happily pick up. Number 81, Plasma Sword. So in case you haven't heard this story by now, in the late 90s, Capcom put out a game called Star Gladiator, and this was originally meant to be a Star Wars fighting game that they were forced to change at the last minute. And I brought this up on social media before, and every time that I do, I always get people who say, oh, it's not true. That's impossible! But no, Capcom developers have flat out confirmed they were indeed trying to make a Star Wars game, but they couldn't get the license, so they had to change it to being a barely legally distinct Star.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, we see a lot of legally distinct enough characters here that you could compare directly to a Star Wars character. Man, that's...
I mean, I don't know enough about Star Wars to say, but there definitely seems like it has that vibe.
It is pretty fun, though, to see these type of games that were originally developed to be a particular IP, but then had to shift focus later on in development, ended up creating their own new and unique thing. Like, this was Star Wars, and a more famous one, I suppose, is StarCraft, because originally that was supposed to be a Warhammer 40k RTS game. But then
didn't know that.
Some business deals fell out, and I think that's when it shifted into StarCraft as we know it today. Which is why you'll see, like, if we ever learn about 40k, if you learn about the Tyranids, yeah, there's a very direct copy, essentially, of the Tyranids in StarCraft, which are very iconic.
Okay, interesting.
Themed game where everyone had laser swords. And that first...
Oh, and I guess the more relevant example is... all the Marines in StarCraft wear big, giant, bulky armor with massive pauldrons. Yeah, those were originally Space Marines.
Game, Star Gladiator, yeah, it ain't great. However, the sequel, Plasma Sword, actually a lot of fun. It's still not super well balanced or anything, but it's definitely a good time with a lot of bright, colorful, imaginative characters that I really enjoy and wish would come back. And the biggest reason why it's fun and the main reason this game is so high on this list is because of the unique super moves in this game called...
I love how he has a massive sword that is made out of light to be legally distinct enough from a lightsaber.
It's a plasma sword, if you will.
Plasma sword, wow! Ooh,
the plasma field.
Cool idea.
Where you essentially go into your domain expansion and you set up a room around the ring, and now your character has some kind of a power that changes the very rules of the game. And there's a phrase that I like to use to describe big, crazy, zany, over-the-top moves in fighting games. Big stupid. And this is the game where that came from, because when I see some of the insane, bonkers stuff that your power-ups allow you to do in this game, yeah, I have no other words for it. Big stupid is all I can call them. And I say that as a compliment. It is impossible to see the nutty, giant stuff that you can do inside your plasma field and not start laughing because of how ridiculous it is. Number 80...
It's the original Smash Bros.
Yeah, it was so cute.
The original Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64, the game that kicked off one of the biggest fighting game franchises ever, and a game that will always hold a special place in my heart. I remember being stunned that this existed when I was a kid. I mean, a Nintendo crossover fighting game? I never even imagined something like that. Well, okay, I did. This is the guy who made a show all about fictional crossover fighting game rosters we're talking about. Of course, I daydreamed about a Nintendo fighting game, but I didn't think it would actually happen. But beyond that, this was my first exposure to the idea of a platform fighter, which taught me about just how different a fighting game could be. And it introduced me to so many different Nintendo franchises.
I didn't realize that that's like a genre of fighting game.
Yeah, it's a very specific genre, which I only know, like Smash is probably the biggest one in that genre. I know a lot of other games that were inspired by Smash within the same genre, but
yeah,
I don't know if Smash was the first one.
Franchises that I had never heard of. I had no idea what Earthbound was, and I knew what F-Zero was, but I didn't know who Captain Falcon was. Now I think Captain Falcon is awesome. He's one of my favorite Nintendo characters. And the gameplay is so creative, and there's so many references in the stages and items to other Nintendo properties. Smash Bros. Is magical, and it only got better from here. Number 79, Primal Rage. This is another one that you can file away in the nostalgia folder because I loved the hell out of Primal Rage when I was a kid. I already said that I like monsters and fighting games when I was a kid. Well, guess what? I also like dinosaurs. So you give me a fighting game with monstrous versions of dinosaurs, and I'm losing my mind. Plus, the whole lore about it actually being a future after a post-apocalyptic cataclysm sent everything back to the Stone Age, and it's just the right levels of weird for me. And the claymation art style is so wild, and I can't believe they were able to pull that off. However, even though it is largely presentation and nostalgia that has gained this game on this list, I will say, a couple of years ago, I went back and I replayed this. Still actually feels pretty good. It's a lot of fun. There's a reason why this game still gets tournament play to this day.
Wait,
also,
what?
Primal Rage is a perfect example of what I love about the arcade era. We got so many weird fighting games that could never exist today. At least, not outside of the indie scene. No major studio today is going to say, hey, I got an idea. Claymation dinosaur fighting game. But during this beautiful Wild West period...
unfortunately, I think most AAA studios, if the person presenting the idea goes, dinosaurs, it'll be that meme of when you throw the guy out the window. It's really unfortunate. Dinosaurs are awesome, though. This game looks really fun.
Dinosaurs are awesome.
Period of fighting games, nothing was off the table. Number 78, King of Fighters 11. Okay, before we go any further, yes, the stages are boring. People complain about that all the time, and yes, they are bad. But oh my god, everything else about this game is just insanely cool. The music has some of my favorite tracks from any KOF game. The gameplay is a big improvement from the last one. The home release has so many fun features and great bonus characters thrown in here who are awesome tributes to SNK. And above all else, this is one of my favorite rosters in any KOF. In any long-running franchise, I will always have a soft spot in my heart for the weird one. And with fighting games, that especially applies to the one with the weird roster. And the roster in KOF 11 just goes for it. This is the KOF game where they just said, let's just throw whatever we want in there. I mean, we got a Fatal Fury team of Terry, Kim, and Duck King. Galro, Mark of the Wolves got their own team. Kyo and Iori are on the same team for the very first time, at least a non-secret team. The Art of Fighting team got their own rivals team. This roster was bold in a way that we do not get anymore, and I love it. Number 77, Mortal Kombat Deception. Well, I say this is Deception, but it's really a stand-in for the whole 3D era. Deadly Alliance, Deception, that other one.
Damn.
Okay, maybe not so much that other one, but go with me on this. The reason I'm putting these games together isn't because I love all the combat in the 3D games, because in all honesty, I didn't. I thought it was just okay. And it's not because I loved all the brand new characters that got introduced in the 3D era, because again, I kinda didn't. Half of them are really lame. Although, real talk, I think a lot of people lump all the 3D characters in and say that they're bad. They're not. Some of them are actually really good and deserve some love, but not enough to make it onto this list.
Yeah, from what I've learned a little bit of Mortal Kombat, the 3D era was not very popular, but at the time, 3D fighting games were kind of in, and 3D games in general were kind of in, so everybody was making things 3D, and That's why we
There
shifted
was an
there.
era in video games that I assume this probably falls into, but
Mhm.
where 2D was kind of, well, this is in film too, I guess, but 2D was considered not like the modern thing anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of like with realism now in video games, right? So if you were like gonna be on the cutting edge or whatever, you had to be making a 3D game. I don't think audiences necessarily agreed, though. For probably the beginning of it, it was the new shiny thing. But then all these beloved 2D games transitioned to 3D, and the transition did not do all equal. Right?
Kind of rough, yeah. It was, I suppose, during an era where it wasn't really seen as a stylistic choice. More so, oh, you just don't have the tech for it, which is why you didn't make it 3D, right? But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saluting the 3D era is because when Mortal Kombat left the arcades, hell, for that matter, when all fighting games left the arcades, because
Yeah,
there
when
weren't
arcades
arcades
died.
anymore. But when fighting games left the arcades, people were worried about the future of this genre. How would fighting games survive on the home consoles? And then Mortal Kombat kicked the door down and said, here's how you do it. It provided so much single-player content with the conquest modes. The crypts gave us mountains of unlockables, bonus costumes, secret characters. Heck, in most fighting games at this time, you were lucky if you got anything other than arcade mode. These Mortal Kombat games were including things like a puzzle fighter mode, kart racing modes, cooking videos for no reason other than the fact that they were fun. All the fighting game
What the hell?
You'll love to see it.
That sounds great. Okay, maybe the combat might not be the greatest, but the single player content, I think I've definitely heard a lot of great things about it. And still reference to today, like, why don't fighting games do this more?
lovers at the time were racing online to try and find guides to where everything was in the crypt. Hell, I think this is actually how I discovered GameFAQs, and that website got me through the 2000s. They had ideas for these games, and they just
Wait, is this chess with Mortal Kombat characters? What?
went for it. And I'd be willing to say that these early Mortal Kombat games, and a couple of other fighting games that we'll be talking about later, laid the early groundwork for what we would come to consider good single-player content in fighting games, and you can still see their effect today. When World Tour mode got added to Street Fighter 6, everyone looked at that and went, oh, it's Conquest mode. You know that has to mean something. Number 76, ARMS. Nintendo has a great strength and a great problem, and they're both the exact same thing. They really want to be innovative. I've often said that I don't think of Nintendo as a video game company. I think of them as a toy company that makes video games, because they love to come up with gimmicks. And sometimes that leads to something great.
Innovation.
I never bought ARMS because I didn't have anyone to play with, and I, don't play fighting games like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I played the demo for ARMS, I actually had a ton of fun with it.
It's really cool because it takes this basic concept of like a fighting game, like an arena fighting game or a 3D fighter, but makes it, I suppose, approachable to a casual audience in a fun and unique way that we've never seen before.
I can't say exactly what it is about it because I don't know fighting games like that. But it just was fun. I don't know. That's all I can say. I enjoyed playing it.
I never played it myself, but I can maybe see why like the stylistic choices too maybe click with a lot of people. There's just something about the game in particular that just feels fun and approachable.
It also gave me big goopy DNA boy, which I enjoyed.
Great. Sometimes it leads to a big mess, and I can't lie, when they revealed ARMS, I thought it was going to be the latter. This looked like it was going to be a waste of everyone's time and was just here to sell motion controls. So imagine my surprise when I actually played it and I realized, oh damn, this is actually a lot of fun. Yeah, the concept is weird, but when you get used to it, it becomes a really entertaining game to just mess around with for a few hours. And I really dislike a lot of the early characters that we saw, but once that full roster was revealed, I think that most of this cast is really well designed and memorable. It's a shame it doesn't look like it caught on because I would love to see an ARMS 2 get announced one day. Number 75, Chaos Code, New Side of Catastrophe.
I think ARMS.
Chaos Code is such a charming game to me. I am fully aware that is not how most people would describe it, but stick with me on this. Chaos Code feels like it was made by a group of friends who spent all day at the arcade playing Melty Blood and Guilty Gear, and then they got home and spent all night
Like,
watching
we could do
Outlaw Star
that.
and Tenchi Muyo and other super 90s animes, and then they decided to make a game together. This thing is just loaded with nostalgia for that period of time when I really got into fighting games and anime, and you can tell the devs were purposely trying to pay tribute to that era. It's got this futuristic sci-fi saying where everyone is still dressing like they're in a pop band, and then you just threw in here a dozen different anime tropes. Playing Chaos Code feels like watching Toonami back when I was 13. But trust me, it's not just the tone that's getting this game up here. These devs still put work into this game. There's a variety to how everyone plays with the ability to customize their moves before each match. There's multiple full art pages for every arcade ending. There's challenges in this game that are actually really tough. This game feels like it was made by a bunch of fans, but fans who were willing to put in the work. Number 74, Soul Calibur 6. If you were into fighting games in the early 2000s, there's no way you don't have
Gotta
some
get
love
into
for
this
Soul
someday.
Calibur. This was a series that just blew.
Definitely gotta check out a retrospective on this in the future at some point. But kind of hesitating on it a little bit since I'm slowly integrating Kane into fighting games and we're still learning the basics of 2D. I think swapping over to a 3D weapon-based fighter immediately after that's gotta be a jump. So yeah, hold on, my dudes.
Soul
We'll
Calibur
get
is one of
there.
those games that, in my childhood, going to like GameStop, I always saw it on like the wall of games, and it always like the cover always grabbed my attention because it had like the weird crossover character
Yeah,
and like just different things that would grab my eyes, but I never actually bought or played it.
But Darth Vader, Link, Geralt from The Witcher
Yeah.
showed up. Yeah, this was the one that had like the weird crossover characters just showing up, and somehow
Was Master Chief
fitting
in
into
one
the-
of them, or am I crazy?
Master Chief. It might have been
was
Soul
it-
Calibur or Mortal Kombat. I'm not sure which one.
I don't know. Yeah.
I do know Master Chief was in a fighting game.
blew players' minds when it hit the scenes. And unfortunately, yeah, it looks like the series might be done for now.
Yeah.
However, if Soul Calibur 6 is how it has to go out, then that is a hell of a final note to leave on. Yes, I know when the
I already
game
have
came
the
out,
game.
people weren't big on the
Looking
new
forward to it
mechanics,
someday.
but I didn't mind them. And by the time the
Nice.
game was done, I think they balanced everything out to be a really solid entry in this series. It's got all the characters you love, the combat is really fun, it's freaking gorgeous, has one of the best character creators of any
does
game
look good.
ever. This game captures all the stuff that I think of when I think about why I love Soul Calibur. Number 73.
I like that he still
Nidhogg.
just has the ARMS music playing in the background.
I mean, it's good music. What can I say?
It is. I like it. It's a good
Oh,
theme.
Okay,
What
I'm
is
going
this?
to have to defend this one because I know people
don't
are
know
about to
what
say
it's-
this isn't a fighting game, but
It's a
I assure you,
stick-
it
I think I've
is.
seen this
It just-
before. For whatever
Really?
reason, I feel like I have seen this. Yeah, with
Huh.
like the blood splattering on the ground like that. This sounds familiar to me. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's really creative with the concept, and bless them for that. It follows all the rules of a fighting game. It's a game where two players face off head-to-head in combat with some sort of a life bar being used to decide who wins. Except, the life bar isn't actually your life. It's the distance until the end of the map. Now take this unique twist and combine it with the simple yet quick combat that can change everything in the blink of an eye, and this becomes an incredibly heated game unlike anything else out there. It is a game where no matter how close you are to
It looks
defeat,
cool.
you can turn everything around at the very last second. And always having that thought in the back of your mind makes it so that you are at max tension every single second of this game. A single match of Nidhogg can go for 20 seconds or 10 minutes, and it will be just as heart-pounding and intense every single moment. Number 72.
死に場所にここを選ぶとはな。わしと貴様にとってはふさわしい場所。
Yeah.
Tekken 7.
Don't
Tekken 7
recognize
is
that
so
here
hard
anywhere.
because my opinion on this thing has been all over the place. For years, I went back and forth between this game is amazing and yeah, this game is all right. I think it's because this was the very first Tekken game that I sat down and really tried to learn. Don't get me wrong, I loved Tekken ever since the start, but this was always a button masher game for me. I always picked it up and then just had fun mindlessly pressing the buttons and seeing what I could do. But this was the first one where I sat down and I said, okay, let me actually try to learn this. So for years, this was one big growing pain to me. Just a long series of me saying, oh, this is great. Wait,
Don't mess with the big man.
I guess it's okay. Hold on, I'm in love again. Yeah, I ran the gambit with this game, but in the end, I still have so many positive memories of going through this game, trying to figure it out, and getting that rush when I suddenly landed a combo in a match that I had spent the last couple hours practicing. Also, as boring as the story mode was, goddamn, that final battle between Kazuya and Heihachi is one of the best moments from any fighting game ever. And hey, you want a controversial opinion? This might even be my favorite Tekken soundtrack. There are so many bangers in here.
Tekken has good music.
Infinite Azure, Sook, and of course, Heat Haze Shadow, which is a top 10 fighting game track all by itself. And there's no way that I can get through talking about Tekken 7 without bringing up Akuma in this game. Yes, I know that guest characters are everywhere in fighting games these days, and the more that we see of them, the less that they actually mean, but this was a guest character unlike anything else. After the failure of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, seeing Tekken come in here and go, here, we'll show you how it's done. We're not going to do a whole game, we're just going to get one character in here, but we're going to make them a central focus of the actual canonical story mode. Seeing Akuma...
Okay, I didn't know that. That's actually really cool. Like, most DLC crossover characters are just kind of a tack on the end, and they don't even have a story associated with them. Actually implementing Akuma into your series, into the lore, was really nice.
I've talked about, I don't know if I talked about it in a video or just in call before, but I'm not a big fan of crossovers in games. Like when you have a gacha game and it's like, oh, I'm playing Arknights and all of a sudden here's the Dungeon Meshi characters. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because it's immersion breaking for me. I play Arknights because I like Arknights, or I play, well, in this case, I guess Tekken because I like Tekken. But if you could incorporate that into the story and have it make sense, then I'm down for that. But yeah, that's why I usually don't like just random crossovers. It just, I'm not a fan.
I think it's the way that it's presented too. Plus the game itself in the way that it's perceived. Because I think for something like Mortal Kombat, let's say, where there will be characters like, I don't know, the Terminator, or aliens and predators in the same game. Like, the way Mortal Kombat is seen, I think it works. It just works because it's the one game where you're going to get to see these cool things happen, and that's the gist of it. Like, that's really all that you need.
Well, that's right. Like, something like Smash Bros, like, that is the concept, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It is the crossover game, and that is what the story is always just like, that's the crossover, right? So, like, I love that, and I think that's fun.
Yeah. 100%. But regardless,
it's the immersion breaking and other things that gets me. I don't know.
Always bonus points for actually implementing the characters in a way that makes sense.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm like, I like this. I like how that's set up.
Square off with Heihachi, not in some trailer, but in the actual story itself, was so cool, and then having a secret fight after the story mode against Shin Akuma was the cherry on top of all of this. Also, they put Negan in here, which is really dumb, but like in a good way. Number 71,
Random
Fate Unlimited Code.
Oh,
I have very limited knowledge of the Fate series. Watched the show, thought it was alright, that's about it. But this Japanese-only Capcom 3D fighter for the PS2? Yeah, now this hit me hard. This game has the combination of speed and impact that I love. Like, the characters feel fast enough, but not crazy fast. There's some pretty solid combo potential in here, but at the same time, everything connects together just well enough that it doesn't feel like you need to know all these crazy combos to enjoy it. It definitely feels like a game that you can just pick up and start playing. And the sound on each hit just has this big impact to it that makes it feel like you're doing something cool. Granted, it does have one of the most frustrating final bosses I've ever gone up against, so it does lose some points on that. But this is still one of those games that whenever I get the chance to play it, I will gladly pick it up.
Archer is hilarious.
Arcus Chroma. Okay, this one feels like it shouldn't even be on here simply because it's still in early access, so technically it hasn't been released yet.
This art style.
But unfortunately, about a month ago, the developer went online and said that they were just burnt out and financially unable to keep working on the game, which means that even though this is still technically early access, yeah, the game is pretty much done. However, for a game that never fully finished development, this is still better than so many other fully released games.
It is so sad that this is just the reality of the gaming industry nowadays, that there are just some AAA games that just feel unpolished, unfinished, and never will be finished until modders come in and actually work on it. Damn. It's still such a shame, though, that this indie project kind of fell through. Understandable, though.
Yeah.
It's like you're just out of passion for the project or you can't continue it for financial reasons.
This game has a unique feature, which is that you can't jump. And as someone who jumps a lot in fighting games, I didn't know how I was going to feel about that. But oh my goodness, the combat in here is so quick, and everything combos together so well. And the mobility, despite not being able to jump, is just perfect. And the art style is so charming that I was won over almost instantly. The moment I put my hands on this...
I love the art style of this.
I think not being able to jump is interesting because a lot of fighting games kind of use that as a way to balance the game, or like add a rock, paper, scissors to engagements when you're playing neutral. But here, I suppose I would change it to be much more of a footsies game, where you're standing like just outside the range of your opponent's attack range to make them try to press a button, and then you counter, which can make for a lot of engaging battles, let's say, where you're just doing a constant dance back and forth instead of just trying to jump over and get it over with. So, yeah, neat implementation. Still a shame that we didn't see a fully realized version of this, though.
Like I said, unfortunately, the developer did stop working on the game, and for very understandable reasons, and it is kind of sad that the game will forever be stuck in an early access state. However, do not let that turn you off from this game. Even if this is the final version of the game that we're getting, it is 100% worth your time. Number 69.
Hey, Dungeon Fighter. Dead game, but looks so goddamn good.
Yeah, it looks cool, yeah. I've never
DNF Duel. Okay, I know I am going to say this a lot in this video, but damn do I wish I had more time to play this. I so wish that I had the free time to really dive into this game back when it was popular for that entire week. Because I love this game. It had that crazy level of over-the-top gameplay that I go to Arc System
I think I'd have a lot of fun playing it.
And I know that some people say it was too much. I mean, some characters in here had normals that could hit you full screen. Trust me, I get it. But this game felt so good to pick up and start figuring things out. This is one of those games where whenever I learn a new combo, I immediately want to try it out online. And the characters, while not having the most creative names, and yes, I know there's a reason for why they have those names, and I've heard why some DNF fans find these names to be cool, but despite the names, their designs were awesome. Each character immediately stuck in my head. This game was just the epitome of cool. But again, that was only for like a week. Yeah, the drop-off on this game was huge.
Insane.
I don't know whose decision it was to not announce any kind of DLC for this game for a full year, but that decision killed this game on sight. I hate saying it, but in the world that we live in now, if your fighting game doesn't have a full roadmap and season pass telling everyone what's on the way, people are going to drop off, and drop off they did. That's why this game makes me so sad. I love what I played, but I was busy for the first month of its release and barely got any time to hop online, and 1 month later, that player base was next to nothing. This game did not deserve what it got, and it needs another shot. Also, in case you're wondering how much I miss this game, no joke, I literally re-downloaded it after writing all this because it made me get nostalgic. Number 68.
Look, I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
I want to do the exact same thing, but, you know, we're still covering some other fighting games at the moment. I will cover this with Kane at some point. It goes on pretty deep discount nowadays because, well, there's literally nobody playing it anymore. It's like a Discord fighter.
Rip.
Yeah. I think this was just like a massive marketing fumble. Or...
Yeah, I've never heard of this before, so...
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a shame. This was I'm pretty sure this was an Arc Sys developed game.
It just looks like it.
Yeah. It's such a shame. We just didn't have any content for it. Or maybe we were like forced to release it early. I don't know. The game was so good though. It looks so good. It looks so fun. And I do like the dungeon fighter characters. I tried to play Dungeon Fighter Online a little bit. I thought it was fun, but couldn't really stick with it for too long. So I thought this was going to be my entry point.
I've never heard of the franchise, I'll be honest.
Really? It's like one of the most popular MMOs in the world. But I guess that's more Eastern side of things, yeah. Than the Western side of the world.
Heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it have an A release?
I believe so. Yeah, it is in English because Kane and I played it a little bit in English. I think there's a different version over in Korea. I believe it's a Korean origin game. But yeah.
I mean, Korea made a lot of MMOs back in the day. You know what? Now that I see the logo looks familiar to me.
I'm sure once you see it, you'll probably recognize or have seen it at least in passing. But yeah, it's a pretty big franchise over here.
I don't recognize the game at all, but the logo I've seen around.
Have you seen the Berserker of Kazan game that got released?
That also does not sound familiar to me.
Damn. Well, that was shown at like a bunch of game awards and stuff, and it got released pretty recently, semi-recently. That is based off of the Berserker character from Dungeon Fighter.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of like spin-off games like that from this particular universe.
Yeah, I've just missed this one, I guess.
Yeah, we all missed this one because it was only alive for a week. Oh man.
Samurai Showdown 5. Okay, hear me out. I know out of all the Samurai Showdowns, this isn't the first one that comes to people's minds. Not saying most people dislike it, no, it still gets pretty positive reception, but I don't think most people would rank this game this high. But as I said, this is my personal list and my own personal experiences with these games is heavily swaying these results. And I remember when I got to college, I had a little experience with Samurai Showdown. I played a little of Samurai Showdown 2 at the arcades, but that was pretty much it. But when I moved into the dorms, the guy in the room next to me had a copy of Samurai Showdown 5, and the entire floor used to get together to play that game. So yeah, I will totally admit, this is up here largely because of my own memories of the game, because this was the game that really got me invested in Samurai Showdown. However, even looking at the game now, all these years later, with all my knowledge that I now possess of the entire Samurai Showdown franchise, I still think this game is special because this roster is awesome. Samurai Showdown started off fairly standard. It was like, okay, make a game with samurais and ninjas and make it really vibrant and colorful, and they did that, and it was great. But I love that by the time that you get to the 5th installment, they just kept going and going with that concept until we got to the point where we've got spirits and magical people and demons. This roster is over the top in the best way. Even if you are not into the settings and themes of Samurai Showdown, you look at the cast of Samurai Showdown 5, there's going to be somebody in there who appeals to you. Number 67, SNK vs. Capcom Match of the Millennium. I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. All the Neo Geo Pocket Fighting games play so much better than you'd expect. They're handheld fighters that only have 2 buttons. These should not feel nearly as good as they do, and yet even with these few limited resources, you can do combos that are incredibly fun, and combat flows together so well. I had to get that out of the way right here because there are going to be some other Neo Geo Pocket games on this list, and it is true for all of them. They are all as smooth as butter. But with Match of the Millennium in particular, this game is loaded with so much charm. It's adorable seeing all the Capcom characters in this chibi SNK style. There are these fun little mini games with other SNK and Capcom characters. And even on this little handheld console, they still fit in here little character moments that I love to see in my crossover games. Number 66, Super Gym Fighter Mini Mix. Hey, speaking of super cute chibi renditions of Capcom characters, imagine a company these days saying, hey, we're going to have a crossover between all of our fighting games, but they're going to be super adorable and it's going to have this zany over-the-top sense of humor to it. Gym Fighters is such an upbeat, joyful idea with an even better execution. The art style and how every character transforms into whatever random joke the devs had in their minds is so silly, but it's got this charm to it that makes all of it work. It doesn't matter whether it's Chun-Li transforming into Jill from Resident Evil or Ken just for some reason having a horse that kicks you. It all makes sense with this style and sense of humor. And the stages? Damn, every single inch of these backgrounds is jam-packed with love for Capcom franchises. And as someone who is also jam-packed full of love for Capcom franchises, I approve. You can just release a book full of all the art for the stages and I'd still say it's one of the best games Capcom has ever put out. Number 65, Mortal Kombat 2. You could not be a kid in the 90s and not have some love for Mortal Kombat 2. The first game was notable for the violence, and yeah, that was kind of it. It was not a particularly good game, and the tone of it was just, hey, we had some ninja outfits laying around, let's see if we can make a game with that. But Mortal Kombat 2 went to crazy new levels. The color and the art style was exploding as they realized what Mortal Kombat should look like.
This is my memory, not memory of, I never played Mortal Kombat, but like when I think of Mortal Kombat, I think of these like photo sprites that they had way back in the beginning of it. Like, this is what I picture when I picture Mortal Kombat.
I don't picture any other game when you mention something like photo sprites except Mortal Kombat. It just felt like such an iconic look for the series at the time, and they definitely went in a much different direction from most of the other 2D fighters that were released during the time.
Like, when I try and think of like modern Mortal Kombat, I don't really have an image in my head, I'll be honest. Again, as someone who's never played Mortal Kombat. So it's like, maybe they have something recognizable, or that these characters transition well. I don't know. I've never played it. But yeah, from the outside looking in, this is still what I picture when I think Mortal Kombat.
I probably have a slightly better picture than you in my head, but we just haven't learned anything about the series at all. I think we'd have fun with it, though. Because there are some aspects to it. Well, yeah, there's the gore and whatnot. But there's also some really stupid, funny stuff where it's just silly, you know? They go over the top of it because they know what they're about. And I enjoy that aspect of it a lot. So hopefully someday we'll get to Mortal Kombat.
I can appreciate that.
The person who likes stupid things likes stupid things? Impossible.
What?
Taking the brooding and serious martial arts tournament from the first game and now making it as bright as a bag of Skittles, the combat was so much better. It really started to flesh out the lore of this universe that would keep me and so many other fighting game fans immersed for decades. And the fatalities in the first game were notable simply because they existed, because they were really gory at a time when that was not a thing when you would find in video games. But when you get right down to it, they were really boring. This game took the fatalities and got so creative with them that they established the tone that would make so many players like me fall in love with this game for years. It also has some of the worst AI of any game from this time period, and believe me, that's saying something, so yeah, this is about as high as I can put it.
Damn.
Number 64, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. Okay, so I said that Virtua Fighter was one of those series that just never connected with me, and I've spent years trying to figure out why that is. But it wasn't until Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, not even the normal Virtua Fighter 5, it wasn't until this update that I finally got it. Because this was the first Virtua Fighter that I got to play against actual other players. Now, when I was a kid and Virtua Fighter 1 and 2 and 3 were out, I didn't know anybody who wanted to play Virtua Fighter. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, hell yeah, everyone I knew wanted to play those. None of my friends wanted to play Virtua Fighter. But when Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown came out, it had online. And pretty decent online, too. So I finally got to play this game against other people, and that's when it hit me. Oh, that's why I never liked this series. This series sucks to play against the computer. Virtua Fighter is so boring against the computer. The AI is never an interesting challenge, and the gameplay is so... I don't want to say basic because it's not. The combat in these games is incredibly detailed, but it's not flashy. It never gave me that rush of, look at that cool thing that I just...
Yeah, comparatively to Tekken or Dead or Alive, like, both series went for a more fantastical approach to combat, whereas Virtua Fighter is much more grounded in its presentation, and it never has any, like, particle effects or anything like that that are just too over the top to indicate it. They just want to portray different fighting styles in as accurate a way as possible. Which, yeah, that's cool that these sort of games exist out there for people who are, like, super into that.
Did. But when I finally got to play Virtua Fighter against other actual human beings, I realized that is where this game lives. And yes, you can say that about all fighting games. All fighting games are better when you are playing against another actual human being. But the difference between the single player and the competitive experience of Virtua Fighter is miles apart. It's not even close. This game made me realize the beauty of Virtua Fighter comes from taking these martial artists with hundreds of moves that are easy to learn but impossible to master, and just reading every single action your opponent takes and understanding them inside and out. Again, I know that is true for all fighting games, but it just feels different in Virtua Fighter. Like it's a brand new game the moment someone else is on the other end of that fight. So yeah, it took me a long time to finally get Virtua Fighter, but this is the game that made that happen. Number 63.
I'm very curious for any of you guys watching this who have played the new Virtua Fighter. I think it's like Revo World Stage or something like that. I recall hearing about when they announced that they were taking like replays or I guess data from professional Virtua Fighter players and then using that for their AI during their whole like single player campaign mode. Like how well is that implemented usually? I'm very curious to know exactly how that would change how an AI acts and if it's more like human-like in its decision-making. I suppose an announcement like that makes people believe that even the devs know that this game is all about that human interaction, that guessing game between two people who need to learn each other's fighting styles. And that's really where the appeal of the game is. So they're even going so far as to implement that into their AI by capturing the pro players playing their game. You know, maybe just so much more important for a game like this comparatively to like a fantastical like anime fighter or something like that.
I feel like, yeah, something flashy, you can still like just have fun watching it be flashy. Like I said, with One Piece Burning Blood, right? The fun part of it is just having the characters and having it be true to character and just seeing them, you know, fight and controlling that.
Yeah.
So like I could get how that I can have just as much fun playing against the AI as I could like my friend. But in a game that's more technical, if the AI can't keep up with that, I could see how that just wouldn't be nearly as fun.
Yeah, it doesn't have any flashy visuals to keep it up. Or like, I guess, an anime IP behind it. The characters that you're already invested in. Not sure about the Virtua Fighter story. Or like how deep it goes. But I would imagine...
No idea there.
Yeah. That'd be like as in-depth as something like Blaze Blow. Or Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
1 and R2. This one is going to be short because this is another Neo Geo Pocket Fighter, and there's no need to reiterate, these games play like magic. Way better than a handheld console has any right to play. But beyond that, again, these Neo Geo Pocket Fighters are so insanely charming. SNK knew exactly what they were making with these games, and they leaned into it. This game feels almost like playing a King of Fighters cartoon, and I love that about it. But also, possible hot take, these have some of my favorite team combinations in all of KOF. They're unique in that way that you know they could never exist within the main games themselves, but they feel so good to see in these non-canon handheld games. Like, Terry and Ryo are on a team together. I understand why you can't do that in the mainline games, but heck yeah, I still want to see it happen. This is just everything that I love about KOF, but made adorable and shrunk down to be in my pocket. Number 62, X-Men Children of the Atom. I grew up loving two things, fighting games and Marvel Comics. And I already talked a bit about that in the Marvel Superheroes game, but this was the first of that series, and I remember when I saw it, it was exactly what I wanted. The X-Men, made by Capcom, the same guys who do those Street Fighter and Darkstalkers games that I love. This was a dream. And yes, the combat isn't nearly as refined as it would be as this series would go on, but I still loved how different it felt.
From somewhere.
This wasn't some grounded game like what I was used to. Characters were leaping all over the places. Stages were crumbling and you were falling from one location to another in the middle of the fight. They had supers filling up the entire screen. This was a level of insanity that I hadn't gotten in games at this point. And it looked gorgeous. Capcom sprite work was always
giant
good, but
sentinel in the background.
This was something special. It looked better than the cartoons themselves. Speaking of that, the fact that they got the voice actors from the cartoon itself, which every kid in the 90s loved, was another huge bonus for this game. You want to know how much I like this game? This was the first game that I ever pre-ordered. And I remember the guy at my store telling me over and over that the game kept getting delayed and pushed back for an entire year. And now that I'm older and wiser, I realize that the game probably didn't get delayed. The game's home release probably just hadn't been announced yet, but the store was still taking pre-orders on it anyways, and they just kept lying to me until the game finally released. So, hey, this game was also a valuable learning experience for me. Number 61, Soul Calibur. You want to talk about a game that changed everything? The first Soul Calibur was gorgeous, had 3D weapon-based combat unlike anything else I had ever played, and had amazing presentation. Each stage felt like I was going on an adventure whenever we got introduced to it.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the original Soul Calibur kind of blew every 3D fighter at the time just out of the water, because it just looks so much better than everything else out there.
Announcer is one of the greatest fighting game announcers of all time. But most importantly, and the main reason it's up here, this was the turning point for fighting games. Before this, the home release of a game was fine, but the arcade version was always the better version. It looked better, played better, sounded better.
Until Soul Calibur,
but Soul Calibur broke that. The moment this dropped on the Dreamcast, everyone looked at it and said, "Oh my god, it's literally just the arcade version." This was an astronomical moment. The day that Soul Calibur dropped on the Dreamcast, the gaming world was changed forever. Number 60,
That's
King of
crazy.
Fighters, Maximum Impact 2.
Maximum Impact! Of course it had to make it on the list. Thorgi loves this, unironically so.
It's so funny.
Let me explain.
Okay, I'd like to reiterate what I said at the beginning. This is just a list of how much I personally enjoy the games, not a list of how good the games are, and there will indeed be objectively bad games on this list. Because believe me, if you ask me, is Maximum Impact 2 a good game,
If you come
I
at
would
me
say
and your list of your personal favorite things are all just the things that are like, you know, technically perfect, flawless masterpieces, then you're either bullshitting me, or you're just one of those like snotty, like I only play perfection type people. And either way, I don't want anything to do with you. You need at least one bad thing in your favorites.
My question is, why am I watching a list from Thorgi if I want the top 100 fighting games of all time, right? I want Thorgi's list of fighting games.
no, and I wouldn't even have to think twice about it. But if you ask me, is Maximum Impact 2 a fun game, I would say yes. I wouldn't be proud of that, but I would say yes. The combat is incredibly dumb, but everything links together so easily, it feels like I can do something cool by smashing my face into the controller. It's the fighting game equivalent of eating a bag of Halloween candy. There's zero nutritional value, but I can't lie, it gets the sugar high going. But let's be real, that's not what gets it on this list. That was never going to get it on this list. What gets this game up this high on this list is the single player content. You guys, this game, which has so many other problems, has some of the best single player content of any fighting game of this generation. All the different challenges had me racking my brain trying to figure out how to beat them. It's a game that
I was just gonna say, like, what games fall into this generation? And I realize I don't know enough about fighting games to know that.
I don't know enough about them either to tell you. But, I mean, we did get Lily Kane in this game, so nice.
True.
turn the combat into a brain teaser. It is insanely creative in a way that I didn't know fighting games were capable of, and I had a blast with it. This became one of those games.
Yes, we have Kasumi's father getting knocked off of the cliff and dying. No! I'm sure he's fine, though. He shows up in later KOFs.
Where I would beat a challenge, and then I would say, okay, one more. Just one more challenge. And that one more would turn into 2 more, and 3 more,
yeah, the metal
and
slug.
10 more. And then there were all the unique takes on the Destroy the Car minigame from other fighting games that we've seen a dozen times over, but actually felt unique and new this time. And there were all the unlockable costumes. Yeah, a lot of them look silly, but I still love how creative they got with it. And they were actually great rewards that were worth how much time you put into them.
Yeah, the Ava
These
suits.
costumes were better rewards than I get in like 95% of fighting games, and they were a blast to unlock. So yeah, this game is bad, but damn did I have fun with it. Number 59, Melty Blood Type Lumina. I know some folks will argue with me putting Type Lumina over Actress Again, but to repeat myself, this list is personal.
Type
and while
Lumina's the
Actress
newer
Again
one.
was a game that I always enjoyed just hitting
Or the
buttons
newest
on,
one?
this was the Melty Blood that I actually tried to learn. And I gotta say, it was fun
does
to
look
learn
really
this
good,
game.
though.
The basic combat was incredibly simple, but finding those
Yeah, it's
little
very pretty.
spots where you could take the chain combos and break it up to turn it into something unique was incredibly rewarding. This is a game where I actually tried to sit down and learn big long combos with each characters, and whenever I actually managed to land one in a match,
His name
it
is the
felt
Count of
so
Monte Cristo?
good. And I love challenging myself to see if I could get an air
That's
combo that
the
would go
fake
on for
character.
so long.
The official art was drawn by the Danganronpa artist.
Oh, really? Cool. It feels
Mhm.
like the Danganronpa artist just kind of gets around. So,
And their
yeah.
art is so recognizable, so it's like you just as
It's
soon as you
impossible
see it,
not to
you're like,
know.
"Oh,
Yeah.
I forget their name too, which drives me nuts. I can never remember, but yeah.
Yeah, the only fake character I knew from them, I think, was like Cleopatra or something like that. Like, very clearly the Danganronpa art style.
That I could actually get the characters to disappear into the ceiling. And even though so many characters had similar basic combo routes, the differences between them made me want to try everybody out. But most importantly, it kept that thing that all Melty Blood games should have. A really good smack sound effect that you love to hear played multiple times back to back to back. Wouldn't be Melty Blood without that. Number 58, Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat was one of my favorite series when I was a kid. I loved the world and the lore and the big overarching story and the characters and how over the top it was. But after Mortal Kombat 3, yeah, things started to go downhill. Mortal Kombat had a rough transition to 3D. So when Mortal Kombat 9 came out, it felt like an old friend was returning.
I'm the only
In
one.
fact, it was literally returning. It went all the way back to the very beginning, and yes, I did really like the combat in this game, but the big reason why I am putting this game up this high is because of that story mode. Don't get me wrong, if I had to judge this story mode objectively, you know, looking at things like the plot and the dialogue and everything else that makes up a, you know, story.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it ain't great. But judging it as a massive trip down memory lane, hell yeah, it was perfect. It took the story of the first 3 games and then merged them all together in a way that made me appreciate this overarching narrative in a brand new way. But it wasn't just, hey, here's that thing that you read about in the booklet before and saw in characters' endings, but now we put it into a story format. No, the moment that things actually started to get screwed up, they started to change the story and the timeline began to go down a dark path, I suddenly perked up and was shocked. I couldn't believe they were doing something this bold with this series. Plus, we have to acknowledge the reason why everyone was blown away by this story mode was because this is not how story modes used to be.
No,
this
it's not.
story
Definitely
mode
not.
changed the landscape of single-player content in fighting games for years to come.
Really?
Number 57, King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match. Okay, confession time. When it comes to King of Fighters, I'm not the biggest fan of the Dream matches. Yes, I know they have some of the best gameplay in the entire series, but as you can probably tell from that last entry, I really like the stories and plots of fighting games. I like those arcade endings.
Doesn't really
And
have
with King of Fighters, I love the team format and the character interactions that leads to. And the Dream matches don't have that. But with KOF 2002 Unlimited Match, I didn't care. This combat is some of the best in the entire series. The roster is gigantic, and the stages, these are some of the best stages in not just KOF, but in any fighting game ever. If you are an SNK fan, you are in heaven with these stages. Every single inch of them is loaded with pure love for these characters and this company. Number 56, Injustice 2. Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
Considering getting into Injustice, maybe once we learn more about the DC lore too, so I can recognize some of the characters at least.
Yeah.
I've heard some good and bad things about Injustice. I think it has a single player mode that a lot of people appreciate though, but yeah.
I don't know that I have a solid, like, usually with a big game, like Injustice is a name I have heard around for forever. But I don't know what the consensus that I've heard on it is.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of one of those things where it's around and I hear a lot about it, but not like if it's good or bad. I don't know.
I know there's some really cool supers. Like, I think the Flash's super in one of the games is like he brings you so fast that you go back into the dinosaur age that he smacks you against a T-Rex or something. which is really funny. And I appreciate that a lot. But yeah. I guess the only other thing is I know that for a 2D fighter, it has like objects on the stage that you can interact with and use against your opponent. And the most famous one is in the meat factory, where there's just like this pork that is hanging on a hook, and you can smack the pork in order to smack your opponent with it. And in that stage, I've seen people just smack the pork back and forth to hit each other. It's kind of funny.
I'm kind of surprised people like that, because I feel like whenever you listen to like fighting game people talk about Smash Bros, they hate that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know, but that's fun. I like that.
It sounds funny. I don't know if people like it. I'm just talking about like a meme that I've seen of people just slapping the pork back and forth.
Yeah.
Injustice too bad, too zonery. It's just projectiles. I know, I've heard it. I don't care. I like it. I've mentioned before that I'm a big Marvel fan, but I also like DC too. And as a DC fan, this roster is full of a bunch of great pulls. I mean, I get to play a Swamp Thing in a fighting game.
Because I know you like Batman a lot.
Yeah. I mean, my answer is probably going to be Batman, but that's also because I don't know enough about the DC universe. We're gonna have to learn more about it someday, yeah. My knowledge is very limited. There was a time where I thought Spawn was DC.
Yeah.
And I was very misinformed.
Because I like Dick Grayson as Nightwing, and I like Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle. Those are my favorite DC characters. But it's mostly from like TV shows and things, and less from the I've read the Blue Beetle Robbie Reyes comics a little bit more recently.
Oh, there was a crossover between the two?
I haven't. What?
You said Blue Beetle Reyes. Robbie Reyes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Jaime.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. Got the Reyes confused in my brain. No, Jaime Reyes. I read his comics a little bit.
Gotcha.
That's the only DC comics I think I've read. Was the Blue Beetle.
I hesitate to throw out some superhero names that I'm thinking of right now because I don't even know if they're Marvel or DC. So I think I'm just going to move on. I don't want to look like an idiot just yet.
No.
Damn, I never thought that would happen. Alan Moore must be ecstatic about that. Side note, please stop asking Alan Moore about DC Comics. That man has suffered enough. Leave that poor man alone. Plus, complain all you want about the gameplay. I had a ton of fun with Blue Beetle. That guy had some really fun combos. And the story was great. I mentioned that Mortal Kombat 9 story was good for the time, but now that I look back at it, I think, yeah, that was some pretty weak writing. Injustice 2, on the other hand, is still really good. That final moment between Superman and Batman is one of my favorite moments from any fighting game story. And you know what? I'll say it. I even enjoyed the gear. That's right. I'm part of the problem. I was glad to grind and get all kinds of customizables in this game. After this, with Mortal Kombat 11 and MK1, I think NetherRealm went insane with the grind for these unlockables. Those games are just insulting with the way that they did it. But in this game, there were a lot of cool armors that you could get for your characters, and it wasn't that hard to get them. Well, okay, it was hard because it was all random, and yes, that is complete BS. Bruh. However, in so many other games that have tried unlockable systems like this, I will play for an hour and...
It's a system, but I always like cosmetic unlockables, so I could be in trouble.
I think cosmetics are my favorite end game in really any game. I am willing to spend time to grind for a cosmetic to make my character look slightly better. That is just how my brain functions.
Get like one random item. In this game, I would play for an hour and I would get like 20 random items.
Oh yeah, here's the super.
Still sucks that's random, but I can't lie, that's a pretty decent amount of items to get within an hour, and it did make me want to keep playing. Number 55, Samurai Showdown 2019. Sam Show 2019 did exactly what it was supposed to do. It brought back Sam Show. Listen, you all know me by now. I constantly talk about how many fighting game series are dead and how many of them I want to see return. And Sam Show, like so many other SNK titles at the time, was flatlining. It was gone. So when this game was announced, literally all it had to do was just be good. And that's all we needed. But it wasn't just good, it was great. The graphics and presentation were next level for SNK. The brand new characters were amazing additions to this roster. And more importantly, it was Sam Show. Sam Show is a very slow, footsie-heavy game that doesn't focus on big, long combos, but instead on finding that one opening to do major damage in single deadly strikes. And there's no other mainstream fighting game out there like that. So when this game came back, instead of trying to change itself to keep up with the times and match the competition,
Yeah, please don't.
It said,
Just be Sam Show.
We're Sam Show, and we're just going to make the best damn Sam Show that we can. And that's exactly what they did.
Sam Show matches are so fun to watch at EVO because there are some like split-second decisions that completely decide an entire match because of how much damage every single strike does. It's like, oh, no, you stop blocking. You stop blocking immediately, and then you just do like a one-hit kill. Damn. Oh, it's so intense. I love it.
Those are the kind of like tournament showings that I love the announcers when they just get super excited. And I'm like, you got to tell me what you're excited about because I can't follow it enough on my own. But the excitement is contagious and I'm here for it.
I don't play Sam Show yet. So I didn't understand every single thing that was happening, but I think the basic concept of, oh, he literally did a Omaiwa Mo Shinderu to that guy and then blood spurted everywhere and he won the match is pretty easy to convey. From full health to nothing. Insane.
Number 54, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I know this is considered by most people to be the bad Smash Bros. And while I do not think the gameplay in here is bad, yeah, okay, they did add the random tripping and falling, which might be the worst idea for gameplay, not just in a fighting game, but
random
in any genre.
Who
has ever played a game and said, you know what, this game needs more characters randomly falling on their ass for no reason. But I still had fun with the combat, because even a bad Smash Bros. Is still a pretty decent platform fighter.
We had an idea.
Let's be real. None of that matters because the gameplay is not why it's on the list.
Back to Nintendo
no, it's on here.
We innovate, and there's always going to be some hits and some misses. This was definitely a miss.
Because of Subspace Emissary. Of course it's on here because of Subspace Emissary. I don't even need to explain that.
Single player mode,
you
that
all
is
knew that's
really
why
good.
it was on here the moment you saw its name pop
talks
up.
About Subspace
to this
Emissary.
day, this remains one of the best story modes in any crossover game ever.
I think Brawl was on the Wii, and technically speaking, this was probably the first fighting game I ever played. I didn't realize it at the time, but I did enjoy Subspace Emissary a lot, just playing through it on my own. Not that it was any good, obviously.
I played Melee at friends' houses because I didn't have any of those consoles as a kid. And then, obviously, Smash 4, when it came out, I finally could play on my own. But yeah, I think the only Smash Bros. I played as a kid was Melee. And it wasn't even at my own house. It was just whenever I visited friends.
Granted, there's almost no competition for that title, but still, this mode was exactly what Smash fans were wanting. All the wonderful characters interacting and the boss fights, it's nothing but a big fanfic brought to life, and I mean that as a compliment. Plus, this game was a few notable firsts for me. This was the first Smash Bros. Reveal that made me lose my mind. They had a website that was being updated each day leading up to the game's release, and I was checking it every single morning, and then one day, I opened up that website, and I saw a trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog join this game. And that might have been the biggest what the fudge moment I had ever had over a video game up to that point in my life.
That's not
I grew up
Nintendo.
back in the day when Sonic...
That feeling is something that I miss right now in modern gaming. And there are a few things that can get close, which is probably why I like gacha games too, unfortunately. But it's like, I remember with Pokemon X and Y, watching the new Pokemon get announced, or like Smash Bros. Waiting for the reveal trailers, right? Just that excitement of seeing the new things coming. I haven't had that feeling in so long, and I think that's such a shame.
I think it's definitely due to the fact that so many game studios feel the need to show you that they're working on a thing so many years in advance, and we've kind of gotten to a point where we can't even raise our expectations for anything or feel excited for it anymore, because more often than not, we're going to end up getting disappointed. So the reveals just don't hit as hard anymore.
Definitely true to an extent also. I think there just isn't as much care in a lot of things anymore. And I think, again, that's why gachas probably get the closest, is because they put out the big fancy reveal trailers for characters and things. And they have like the build up and the promotionals and things where it's like, it's not the same, but at least there's something there, like they want you to be excited, right? I feel like a lot of things don't have that anymore. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It could also just be like we're still waiting for the one particular thing that clicks with you. Because for me, the last time that happened was Marvel Tokon. Because we were checking out both Marvel and, well, Arxis at the same time. And it was something that we had never seen before, never heard anything about. People thought would never happen because it was always Marvel versus Capcom, right? And that would just be their thing. So yeah, that one really like shook me to my core. Outside of that,
I guess I don't mean like game reveals. I mean like character reveals, creature like
character reveals specifically.
Ash reveals, like the way Pokemon have put out the new Pokemon designs. I think Tokon could get there for me. But we just haven't got to that point yet of them putting out character trailers and announcements and things. Like, the roster is still just the same ones that they announced with the launch.
Still waiting.
Or with the announcement trailer. But I definitely could see that filling into that slot for me. Because, I love just those properties so much.
I hope they market it in that sort of way to hype up the character.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And Mario were rivals, and now Sonic was going to be in the Nintendo fighting game. Also, this was the first fighting game that I ever played online. Yeah, I had just moved to New York, hundreds of miles away from home, and I was missing my friends. And then we all realized we each had Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and that game could connect to the internet. So we decided to give it a try, and yes, the online sucked. But I still have good memories of being able to play with my friends despite being so far away from them.
Yeah.
Number 53,
Some things never change.
Terrordrome, Rise of the Boogeymen.
What?
Now here's an interesting contestant because this one isn't actually an official game. It's a fan game. But if you've watched me for long enough, then you know I am a big horror movie fan. And
that's Ash from Evil Dead, I think. Like Myers, Jason Voorhees,
doing all the big horror movie icons has always been
cool.
way up on my list of dream games. Well, since there's no way that could ever legally happen, some lucky young fans jumped in and decided to do it themselves. And not only is the game pretty fun to play,
Pumpkinhead?
It's just a damn good celebration of all these horror icons. It is stunning to me that game built completely from the ground up could still capture all these characters this well. There are so many awesome references, and I love the little bits of story that they put in here. They actually gave each character their own arcade mode and rival fights. And listen, it isn't anything big, but considering this...
This is kind of funny because this is very clearly like photoshopped together. It's a pretty well, but like, it's like a meme edit essentially of a story. But effort was put into it, and I appreciate it.
This is a fan game, and they didn't have to do any of that to begin with. It's still really cool what they managed to squeeze in here. If you're a horror fan, they do some great stuff with the crossover premise. I should point out that the devs did make their own original game featuring public domain monsters, but that game has some problems. That's all I'll say. So for now, this is the Terrordrome that's going to make my list. Number 52, Street Fighter Alpha. Okay, you know how I said there's a lot of games I'm going to merge together, either because the gameplay feels too similar for me to divide it up, or because of my own personal experiences and feelings lead me to lump them all together. And the example I gave for that was Street Fighter 2, because even if those games got a little different from one installment to the next, I still think about them all as being one thing. The Street Fighter Alpha series is the complete opposite of that. Yeah, you might think, oh, there's 3 Street Fighter Alpha games. Clearly, each game is just going to be an updated version of the previous one. Nope. Street Fighter Alpha 1 is completely different from Street Fighter Alpha 2, and Street Fighter Alpha 3 is completely different from both of them. There is no way I can merge all those games together. Each one stands out as its own individual achievement, and they each play completely different from one another. So right now, we're only talking about Street Fighter Alpha 1, but believe me, you will be seeing the other games later. But with this first installment, I loved all the changes to the gameplay. It was more aggressive. Having a Street Fighter where you could air block or do target combos like in Darkstalkers was so cool. And the art style was perfect. This, to me, to this day, is still what I picture in my head when I think, what does Street Fighter look like? But as much as I love this game, it was all uphill from here for the Alpha series.
Yeah.
Number 51. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Okay, right here at the top, I gotta admit, I know nothing about Tatsunoko. I'm aware of some of the properties, but I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of any of these shows.
Beautiful Joe, I think, is from Tatsunoko. I do know about
Marvel vs. Capcom, and around 2010, we were starving for a new installment of this series. So when Tatsunoko vs. Capcom got announced, I said, you know what? Close enough, and I decided to check it out. And what I found was a game with a combat so good, people have argued it might even be the best in the Versus series. It felt like what I loved from the previous Versus games, but it was so much more accessible, so much easier to dive into and start learning. And the roster? Listen, it's weird, but as I have said before, I love installments in long-running franchises that say, this is going to be the weird one. This is where we just get nutty with the roster. And
I do really recognize some of these characters. So I haven't seen
their original source. I've definitely seen them in passing in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I'm pretty sure I played one of these actually at some point in my life. But yeah.
Too much about the Tatsunoko side, but the Capcom side? You got Mega Man Volnut, Alex from Street Fighter, Soki from Onimusha, Batsu from my beloved rival schools, and a character from an old arcade quiz game. These are characters who had never appeared before and will probably never appear again in a Versus game, and that will always make this game special to me. Number 50.
Okay. Oh, Capcom versus SNK. I see. That's certainly an intro.
Capcom versus SNK.
This is another one of those games that would probably be way higher if I'd gotten into it when the game first came out. No, I skipped this game when it was released, and I started with Capcom vs. SNK 2, and yeah, it's kind of hard to go backwards from that game when this one has a smaller roster and a much worse way of handling the ratio system. But, that being said, yeah, this game is still awesome. Still feels great to play.
It's a screen for Iori.
This crazy Iori. Were those all just like the evil characters just grouped onto one tab or something like that?
Yeah, I guess
don't know what's going on there.
Amazing that they were able to bring these two companies together, and it's got stunning presentation. I'll admit, I do personally prefer the presentation of Capcom vs. SNK 2, but I will also admit I think I'm in the minority on that one. I have heard so many people say they prefer the presentation in this game, and listen, I get it.
I like the way they do the character sprites on the top bar there.
Many people say they prefer the presentation in this game, and listen, I get it. The menu arrows flying around, the way the stages get introduced. Hell, the shadows on the back alley stage alone deserve a shout out.
That is cool.
This game has some of the best presentation of any fighting game from this time period.
What?
All right, we're halfway through this countdown, so here's a little refresher. Let me just remind everyone, this is just a list of my personal favorite games ranked by how much I like them. It is in no way a judgment call of the quality of the games themselves. So with that in mind,
it's a lot of fighting
number
games.
49, which
All right. I think we're going to call it here, though, because it seems like a good point to cut it off. Halfway through the list, although we're not even halfway through the video, I would like to note.
I assume he has more to talk about.
Much more to talk about in the later ones, yeah. Regardless, though, that was super fun. We saw a lot of new and interesting fighting games, actually. That I'd love to check out in the future. Some with some really unique art styles, and I'm glad Thorgi used this list to introduce some like unknown ones as well, or indie projects out there too. Even ones that didn't never fully finished. It's just really shows you the breadth of what fighting games are and people's passion for the series or the genre, I suppose.
Definitely. I found out there's a Power Rangers fighting game, so there's that.
I'm still surprised you didn't know of that or the Dungeon Fighter one.
I feel like the Dungeon Fighter saw it around. I don't know, but yeah. I thought the Power Rangers were in like Mortal Kombat or Injustice or something. Because I've seen them in a fighting game. I didn't realize they had their own fighting game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in Mortal Kombat. Not sure about Injustice, though. I don't know if Injustice did crossover characters like that.
Like I said, I don't know. I saw them in something, but I thought it was like they were a guest character, not their own fighting game.
But yeah, that's going to do it from us today, my dudes. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed your timer. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will catch you next week. Same time, same day, hopefully, for the next part.
Bye-bye.
Later.